Lynae Rogers. I am the on-range lead for the State of Colorado Wild Horse and Burro program, and I'm here today with these wonderful people to talk about actual off-range management of our horses. But I wanted to give a little history today on where we started, and basically, I mean, we heard earlier, our horses started a long time ago when we had ranchers, farmers, wagon trails. These horses got turned out and they were kind of roaming the West. And these are the animals that contributed to what we know as our wild horses today, and the ones that are protected by our 1971 Wild Free Roaming Horses and Burro Act. And what this act did for us is it protected these horses so that we have them that are here today. But it directed BLM and Forest Service to manage the horses in a thriving natural community. And what that means is an ecologically sound community out there in terms of our rangelands. To be able to provide for those horses and to actually grow them from the ground up. So, in 1971, we had about 25,000 horses on the range. That's approximately what we had within the herd management areas that were dedicated at that time. Over the years since then, those horses have increased over time exponentially, and in 2020 we peaked at around 95,000 horses under BLM management. So that is about 4 times what we were allocated in 1971. So with that, we actually manage about 25 million acres, 175 HMAs, and of that we have 4 HMAs in the state of Colorado. We have Sandwash Basin, we have Piancese Douglas, we have the Little Book Cliffs, and we have Spring Creek Basin. So those are our 4 HMAs in the state. Out of those in our state, 2 are within our appropriate management level, and 2 are outside of the appropriate management level. So 2 that are over. Herds can double in size about every 4 years, which actually puts us over our AML, and that requires us to look at those appropriate management levels and to conduct gathers when needed. And to do that, we look at gathering in 2 ways. We look at drive traps, which are helicopter, and we look at bait and trap. So we look at both of those. We do some of the safest trapping out of any other agency that we look at who traps wild animals. When you look at the percentage of gathered-related deaths, we are the safest by far than our other agencies that trap wild animals, deer, elk, any of those. So we're very proud of that. Are there accidents that happen? Absolutely, that does occur. But overall, we're pretty good there. So with that, over the last 5 decades, we have adopted, because we're taking all those horses off the range, over 300,000 animals have been placed into private kennel placement. And I just want to say thank you. If you guys are any of those people who have stepped up and adopted one of our horses, thank you for doing so. It's great. We appreciate it. Horses that we don't adopt actually go to our off-range pastures and are cared there for life. So they live out their life on those. That takes up the biggest bulk of our budget. At about $101 million in the year 2024. It's 70% of our wild horse and burro budget. So, with that, we're here today to talk about the off-range part of it and the event that we have going today. So we have ungentled and we have gentled horses here from the Little Book Cliffs, and we have our partners that help us to manage these animals after they come off the range, from partnerships and trainers to shows to sanctuaries, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves and give a little chat about what they do.
I'm Stefanie Schafer with Wildwood's Outreach and Advocacy out of Guthrie, Colorado. I know I talk funny. And if you can't understand me, I'll repeat it.
Could you speak up a little bit?
Okay, is that better? All right, with an accent. We are partnered with a new organization called Forever Branded, and what we do through Forever Branded and on our own, we take Mustangs from BLM to suitable homes. What we also do is we take in Mustangs that people have adopted and either know they can't gentle at home or have tried to gentle at home and couldn't. We hopefully gentle them and send them home with their adopters after a lesson to make sure that they're going to land safely and that they're going to have success going forward. What we also do is we teach. If somebody wants to do it themselves but they're stuck, we offer remote coaching, or I travel to people that have a horse that they can't halter, can't lead, can't load, whatever they can't do, and I help them with that. And we have a small ambassador herd. They go meet people, they are rideable. We have one, he has to drag his own pastures, he has to skid logs. I ride, I pack. We have a social media presence where people can follow the progress of, okay, now I have a gentle horse, what do I do with it going forward? Because we don't want them to stay stuck at gentle. We want them to be out there pulling their weight just like a domestic horse, or ideally better. And we are coming up on 200 horses that have gone through our program, and we're daily getting updates from all over the country what these people are doing with these horses that they have either adopted from us or that we have gentled for them, including one little tiny sassy pony mare that went to the East Coast to an educator there many years ago, and this lady is now speaking internationally on how this little horse has affected her life and has impacted her horsemanship, and has also impacted how she interacts with people, students, adults, and kids in the classroom.
My name is Matt Manroe. I'm Executive Director of Mustang Champions. We are a newer nonprofit. With the government grant, thank you, as an American taxpayer for the monies that you're providing. With that grant money, we're asked to do two programs. One is an educational program. Many Americans do not know that they are horse owners. As American taxpayers, we all own the property on which they live and every animal on those ranges. And it's fun to kind of wake people up to that fact. Because the idea is, the more you know about your horses, the better care we can all take of them and preserve them. So if you have the opportunity, we have an educational booth here that you learn facts of what's going on the range. You can put on a virtual reality headset. You can stand with horses in the wild, just with the mission of helping Americans learn about their horses. The other project that we were granted money for were two new national Mustang competitions. A Western Discipline competition, which is happening in the next 2 weeks in South Point Arena in Las Vegas. $50,000 to the champion, $125,000 total purse. Our idea there was to get people to work with Mustangs that might not normally compete with them. And some of the trainers who are coming in to compete with us are high-profile trainers with other breeds. So we just get to showcase Mustangs with their cachet and just build the image of the Mustang. The venue is premier. Mustangs deserve to be shown in premier venues. We require curriculum training to try to better Mustang training and equine training in general. We ask everyone who qualifies to compete to take a bit of a test, kind of like going online and taking a driver's test, just with the goal of trying to improve training. We're trying to give people as much time as possible to train their Mustang for competition, because here again, we want to showcase them at their highest possible level. We require that you show us that you have shown your horse prior to coming to our competition. Because here again, we don't want first-time in arena Mustangs. It doesn't help the trainers. It doesn't help the Mustang. So they're just things that we've learned over the years producing these competitions to try to improve them to better showcase the Mustang. Last September, we did our first ever English discipline competition in Rolex Stadium at Kentucky Horse Park in Lexington, Kentucky. And if you're not familiar with Rolex Stadium, it is a premier international competition arena. So here again, we're putting Mustangs where some of the top horses of the world come to compete. $50,000 to the champion, $125,000 total purse. Please come September 4th through 6th to Lexington, Kentucky, and watch some Mustangs in an English discipline competition. English, there are a lot of people on the eastern states that are very interested in Mustangs and using them for things like eventing, where they don't have to be of a larger size in order to compete and win. So it's been fun to watch that audience grow and the demand grow for Mustangs in English discipline sports. You're up.
Well, thank you. I'm Scott Beckstead. I'm Chief Equine Programs Director for the Wild Animal Sanctuary, which owns and operates the Wild Horse Refuge up in the northwestern corner of Colorado in Moffett County. The Wild Animal Sanctuary is comprised of three different animal sanctuaries in Colorado. The flagship facility is just outside of Denver in Kingsburg, home to a lot of large carnivore species. There is also the Wild Animal Refuge down in southeastern Colorado that is home to about 150 wild horses from other states, as well as several hundred large carnivores. And then the third and newest facility is the Wild Horse Refuge in Moffett County. And it is home to Colorado-born wild horses that have been rounded up from Colorado herd management areas. It is 30,000 acres, so it is a very large piece of property. I often say it's hard to wrap your head around just how much room that is, but it's basically horizon to horizon. It is truly a wide open space, and what we do is we bring in wild horses from Colorado that have been rounded up, that have not been adopted. We go to Colorado wild horse adoption events that are hosted by the Bureau of Land Management, and animals that don't get adopted, that don't have any bidders or whatever, we get those animals transferred to us, and we bring them to the Wild Horse Refuge to turn them out to live out the rest of their lives. And we're especially concerned about the sale authority horses. Those are the older horses, or the ones that have been passed over in 3 adoption events, because those horses can be sold directly to purchasers. So we want to make sure that those horses don't slip through the cracks and don't end up in the wrong hands. And so a fair number of our horses at the Wild Horse Refuge, our population is now at 254. A fair number of those horses are middle-aged horses or even older horses, and because many of them are sale authority. And then we also have a fair number of our horses that do come from the Sandwash Basin. So you'll see a lot of horses that are kind of have that unique Sandwash Basin look. The Sandwash Basin is just 30 miles from the Wild Horse Refuge. So we have our one, what I would say our celebrity horse is Michelangelo. Michelangelo is the grandson of Picasso, who at one time was called the most famous Mustang in America. Everyone who comes for a tour of the Wild Horse Refuge, they want to see Michelangelo, and fortunately he tends to be in pretty accessible areas where he can be found. But we take a very different approach to the welfare of our wild horses, different, I think, than most other sanctuaries, and that is we really try as much as possible to not get involved in the lives of our wild horses. We want them to be wild. We want them to not be habituated to people, so we have a strict no snacks policy at the refuge. And these horses, we let them sort out who they want to run with. They have sorted out for themselves what the makeup of the different bands are. The personalities really run the gamut. We have some horses that are extremely wild and who want nothing to do with people, and we have some that are more curious and more friendly and kind of want to come up and check you out. But we really try not to interfere with their lives. So what does that mean? It means that so far we haven't had to feed them any hay. We have abundant grass at the Wild Horse Refuge. These are all bunch grasses. We have very little invasive cheatgrass. We do have hay fields. We do grow hay. But so far we have not had to feed the horses out on the range any of our hay because they have the ability, again, most of them come from exactly this type of climate. So they are very good at foraging even in the dead of winter. The vast majority of our horses came out of the winter looking very, very good. And you know, they just have the ability to be healthy and really thrive in this ecosystem. In terms of doctoring the horses, knock on wood, we've only had 2 horses get hurt. Our approach is whenever possible to do the doctoring out on the range. That involves sedating the horse with a tranquilizer gun and then letting the vet go to work. But our horses are very, very healthy. Their feet look fantastic. I'm a little obsessed with horse feet, and I am always amazed at how our horses all look like they're just, you know, a week out of their last farrier appointment. But it's because they are constantly on the move. These horses are constantly moving across rocky, sandy ground. Their feet stay in great shape. They are strong. They're in really good shape. And you know, again, we've got some herds of mostly older horses. They tend to move a little bit slower. And then we've got the naughty 9, who are younger bachelors who like to run around like their hair's on fire. You'll see a big gathering of quiet horses around a water hole, and then here come the naughty 9, and they just kind of blow everything up, and it's really enjoyable to watch. We are not open to the public at the Wild Horse Refuge, but we do give scheduled private tours. And we especially like giving tours to our founding donors. Those are people that have contributed the purchase price of an acre of land, which is $777. That entitles our founders, once you make that donation, you're entitled to a VIP tour of the refuge, and we have an annual Founders Day event in September where hundreds of our founders come together, and they go out and we give guided tours out on the refuge, and they get to see the horses. So we're very proud of the work that we do. We're proud to work with the Bureau of Land Management to make sure that these horses that don't get adopted have a good place to go where they can basically just be wild horses again and live out the rest of their lives safe and at peace. And we're very proud of our work. And we do have a booth here, so hopefully you'll stop by and talk to us, and happy to answer any questions.
So back to me, I guess. So all of these, all of us up here, when we take these horses off the range, play a real critical part. BLM can't adopt every animal. We have 60,000 animals still in holding and on our off-range pastures. So at our partnerships and being able to really showcase our animals, whether it's through Stefanie and other Forever branded partnership training and getting those horses out there and showing the versatility of those horses, to what Matt's doing and our other partners, really showcasing those horses in shows and showing that, you know, you don't have to have, you know, a registered high-dollar quarter horse or thoroughbred to go out there and really show off these horses and what they can do to, you know, the refuge that is kind of like our off-range pastures that we have that are contracted, which of course, like I mentioned before, in 2024 cost us $1.1 million of the taxpayers' funds to care for our horses, and that's 70% of our budget. So when we do have, you know, those larger acres step up, that definitely helps lower that tax burden and lets those horses live out their lives there. So whether it's one of you adopting, you know, and thank you for doing that, or whether it's Matt or our other partners showing today, our local partners who have gentled the 14 horses that we have out here, which were Friends of the Mustang, and those members who stepped up to gentle these horses. Every one of us play a major role in getting these horses placed, and it's a great deal. So, I don't know what else to tell you.
Yeah.
Where is the Wild Horse Refuge out of Craig?
So if you go 17 miles west of Craig on Highway 40 to County Road 17, and then go 5 miles north on County Road 17, that's where we're located.
So out in the Sandwash Basin area then? Or-
We're about 30 miles this side of the Sandwash Basin.
Okay.
But we're it takes about it's about an hour's drive from the horse refuge out to the part of the basin where you start seeing horses.
Okay.
How do the horses that are not from the area, do they learn from other horses then to survive?
Keep in mind that all of our horses were born and grew up on Colorado herd management
Oh, okay.
areas. So they all are sort of have that sort of native experience growing up on the range. We do have a small number of horses that were transferred to us from owners that had adopted them that just were not great candidates for companions or saddle horses. Most recently, we took a guy named Pistol from, he was born and grew up on the Peons East Douglas herd management area. And he's a middle-aged horse. He was a band stallion, and a very nice lady adopted him. And for 2 years, she tried every single day, and Pistol let her know from day one he was not on board with this whole domestication idea. She had trainers come in, and they were like, this horse is just really not going to be suitable. And because he's a Colorado-born wild horse, she reached out to us, and we said, yeah, we'll take Pistol. He is now living out. He lives in the northern part of the refuge, which those tend to be wilder horses. He met up with 2 other geldings, and so they're kind of like the 3 amigos. They satellite around a much larger band, so when that band moves, those 3 tend to sort of follow. But, you know, he's back to being a wild horse, and he looks just absolutely fantastic, and he's thriving, and that's where he's going to live out his life. So it's great.
So I think one thing, you know, to bring forward, that we do have partners with our off-range pastures too, because it's kind of operated like that, but also just the versatility of our horses. You know, when you're talking about what Matt's doing in Western disciplines, you know, you have pleasure to, you know, all your different show classes that you're doing, and then your English, you know, under saddle, jumping, eventing. A lot of these horses pack. I don't know if you saw it when, you know, we had the North Carolina hurricanes that came in. If you noticed, and I noticed it right off the bat, it was on news, and it just happened to show the left side of that neck, and it was one of our freeze branded Mustangs that were taking, you know, provisions in to people. So that's pretty cool. These animals are so versatile, and if you take the time to get to know them, take the time to train them, they'll pretty much do anything, you know, you want them to do. Yeah, you do run into occasionally ones that are a little hard-headed that, you know, don't necessarily fit, but for the most part, it takes time.
So talking, an example of versatility and for real is the gentleman that won our Western competition last year, Chris Phillips from Avon, Utah. Went from the Western competition to the English competition and placed 3rd. So, and our classes are like reining, trail, ranch riding, and then working equitation, arena eventing, show jumping, and dressage. So to be able to even execute across all those classes is just incredible, in my experience with horses.
Yeah, so you're looking at versatility, but you're also looking at athleticism of these horses. You know, to be able to go through and be taught a flying lead change, if everybody who might know who that is or what that is, that takes a little bit to do. I can even tell you, you know, my daughter, who has shown for many years on her quarter horse, doesn't do a flying lead change. So the versatility and the athleticism of these horses goes a long way.
What we find is that a lot of our adopters are not necessarily first-time horse people. A lot of them are first-time Mustang people. And they may be very experienced even in training and starting young horses. But how do I get from the horse that's way over there and I can't touch it to the horse that I can halter and lead and pick up the feet, provide basic care, and now begin to treat it like a domestic horse or similar, and then do the things that they now know how to do. And that's where we come in trying to help people bridge that gap and make sure that these horses are set up for a successful future. And whether then they go English, they get driven, people ride them, show them, don't show them, pack them, that is for us secondary. But what we want to make sure is that when people get these horses, to gentle them, that we deal with, you know, the fear factor pretty quickly, to help these horses adjust to people, are able to receive basic care, and then are able to move along in their training. Part of that is also getting to know our adopters. What is your comfort level? How much time do you have? And what are your goals? And then we help them find the right horse. Whether that's one that we have in the pens right now, or whether that's one that they bring to us, which can be, we hope that that's the right fit. Or we say, well, you know, we'll call you in a couple of months and hopefully we'll have a horse for you then. Or we also provide aftercare. So if a horse leaves and somebody says, well, this is what I'm running into, then we can say, okay, you know, we'll either come out or we'll walk you through it to get through those roadblocks, to get under saddle or wherever that adopter wants to be. Because that is the challenge that we tend to see with the Mustang. There are many, many wonderful people. They're skilled, they have the money, they've got the heart in the right place. They just don't have quite the time or quite the experience to deal with the wild part of the horse. So we try to help them with that.
And the thing that I have learned over the years working with people with Mustangs is it's a community. And everyone is very willing to help. There is a network of people all over the United States that have this ability to gentle a Mustang, that are happy to help and happy to help you find a way to adopt a Mustang and get into the Mustang world. We'll talk about satellite adoptions. How do you adopt a Mustang and from where?
So in Colorado, we have several satellite events that we do every year, and they go out on our Facebook page, our BLM Facebook page. They will also go out on our Partners on the Ground Facebook page, so like Friends of the Mustang, Peons Mustangs, and all of those. And so we normally have, like I said, around 4 of those a year. And then we also have what's called our in-facility adoptions at our Canyon City facility. We normally have those about once a month, except for those winter months of December, January, and February, because we find nobody wants to travel to Canyon City during that time. So we normally don't have it during that time. So we will have one coming up in July, and then we'll continue on from there. We also have what's called our online corral events, which is a nationwide that you can get on the online corral. And those events normally run for around 10 days, and then they will shut down, so you can put your bids in online for those horses. And then there are pickup places designated to pick up your horses there. So it goes both ways on either of these. You can either do an adoption or you can do a sales authority. Sales authority horses are over 10 years old, or they've been passed up more than 3 times at an adoption event. Anything 10 and younger, goes adopted unless it has been passed over. So, we do have applications. Everybody can apply online if they'd like through online corral. You just have to go into that site, fill out your application. We'll look that over and approve or not. And then we fill out your PMACA, sign your little contract for the adoption part of it, and you're good to go. If you're sales authority, you get a bill of sale that day with a brand inspection. So, and you take that horse home. If you do sales authority, that horse does become your property at that point in time and is considered a domestic horse, no longer protected under the act. So, we do have that. Adoption is, you're kind of like a foster parent for a year, and then you get what's called a title eligibility letter. That title eligibility letter is filled out, sent back to us, and then you get a title in the mail. And if you're in a brand inspection state, you will get a brand inspection. Of course, not all eastern states are brand inspection states, so you won't have a brand inspection there.
The newest part of what we do is we've become a Forever branded partner. Forever branded is, as I said, a newer nonprofit organization that partners with BLM to help some of the harder to adopt horses get out of holding. It is true that a lot of people go looking for color, the pintos and the buckskins and the palominos and the roans. And there are, every time I go to Canyon City, there are about 20 bays following me everywhere. And they're lovely and they're beautiful and they've got manes out down, past their shoulder. And the reality is on our end, without the Forever Branded Partnership, I have to work literally 3-4 times as hard to place a bay, unless it's over 15 hands, as I do for a roan. And, and if it's a 14-hand sorrel, it also needs to vacuum and, sing the national anthem. So now with the Forever Branded program, we are able to bring in sorrel bays and brown horses 2 years and older and gentle them and still adopt them to suitable homes so that the adopter gets the horse that they need for their skill level and their goals. But the adopter pays $125 for a gentle horse. So you're basically only paying for the horse and you're getting the gentling for free. And the idea being to get those horses that oftentimes would be overlooked simply based on color, to get them into homes and also get them off to a good start. Because again, oftentimes people get them home with the best of intentions and then struggle with the in-between stage.
We do have 4 approved Forever Branded Partnership trainers in the state of Colorado. One is a Burro trainer, of course, one is Stefanie. And then we have 2 other ones. So if you get on Forever Branded,
They're both here.
Liz
Liz and
is
George.
here. Yeah, and Liz is here. So Liz Onifer and George Brunice, who is also Friends of the Mustang and a Mustanger. So he's gentled one of the ground trained horses out there, and he's also one of the Mustangers in the pens. So, and then Liz Onifer is here. So we have 2 on the western slope. We have 1 on the eastern slope, I would say, and then we have a Burro person out of Castle Rock. So hopefully we'll see more people on that.
Scott, are you at capacity on your refuge?
No. We're at capacity for horses down at the Wild Animal Refuge down in southeastern Colorado, but at the Wild Horse Refuge, no. We're very careful about being good stewards for that land, and we want the Wild Horse Refuge to be not just a good refuge for the horses, but for all of the other wild species who live there. We have hundreds of mule deer, hundreds of pronghorn. We have elk, we have coyotes, we have mountain lions, golden eagles, bald eagles, jackrabbits, prairie dogs, ground squirrels, the whole suite of native species, and we want it to stay that way. So we hire professional range consultants to come out and do a thorough analysis of our range to make sure that we're not, exceeding the carrying capacity. But again, it's hard to wrap your head around how big 30,000 acres is. And, we have 254 wild horses along with all those other wild species. And I can tell you that the range is thriving and flourishing. And so we will be able to take more horses, but we are also going to be careful and stop at such point as, the range has reached its capacity.
What I have found is that everybody can help wild horses, everybody can be involved with wild horses. It just may vary what that looks like. I get people calling me often, I want to help wild horses, what can I do? Or I would like to adopt wild horses to help them, and then we start having the conversations about where are you at in your horsemanship? What does your facility look like? How much time can you realistically commit to this? Are you able to pay for farrier, for vet, or for a trainer if you need help? And there are times when an answer is yes, and there are times when an answer is no. And where we start with people that we adopt to, or people that we refer out, is just really an honest look of, what do I have to work with? And we do have people that we talk about volunteering, about supporting other organizations. Because if you want to help wild horses, there are many, many organizations, these three, Peons, Mustangs, and so many others, some of them are here. Get familiar with what they're about, what you can get behind, support them. Go volunteer somewhere. If you're not in a position to adopt, you can still help wild horses. You can educate others. There are some things that you can do. And when it does come to adopting a gentle horse, which that's what we do, it is a commitment. It is an ongoing training project. It is a relationship that you're hopefully investing into for the next 25 years, and we ask that people take that very, very seriously. We are there to help, and we are there to help people start with a friendly horse, with a horse that the personality is aligned with what that person wants to do and who that person is. That is really, really important, because at the end of the day, they're all individuals, they're all super quirky, they're all a lot of fun. And out of 5 horses, you could have a lot of fun with one, some fun with 2, and a really big headache with the other 2. And they're all great horses, just not for you. And it works out the same way with people.
Any other questions? All right.
Thank you.